All right, and then the one is gonna be just a question. Okay. So reminder, what we got going on here is that make sure everybody join this Nearpod right here. This is your code for you guys. I posted a link to this document into the chat. I'm gonna post it again for you right now in a second. And what you guys are doing, we're gonna be going through these topics in the Nearpod. You guys are filling out the explanation on your own sheet of paper. Is everybody following me on that? And then this sheet of paper, you guys will be turning into me. So the sheet of paper that you guys are doing right now, that includes the 3, 2, 1. And this information right here is what you guys are going to be turning into me today by 11:59. This is an in-class assignment, and it does go in the grade book. Okay, so let me put this back in the chat for you guys again. Definitely say go ahead and cut your cameras on because the Nearpod, I'm gonna have you guys reading aloud. That way people can see you, and then I can see you as well. You know, that's also just a reminder, as I always say, that's something I'm giving you guys for points and grades. A word I'm gonna say on grades right now, your grades is an average. So for example, 50% of your grade are all your exams. So like the unit exams we take, unit 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're getting ready for unit 5 exam. Those are 50% of your grade. 30% of your grade is the in-class work or homework that I give you. And then 20% of your grade is the EOC. That most likely is going to be changing. It's going to be anywhere between 0.01% or 10%, which means you probably have a 10% going to another allocation. We're waiting for the county and the state to give us guidance on that. But a long story short, what I'm saying is that your grade always averages out. So make sure you guys keep that in the back of your mind. Your grade is going to fluctuate as I put grades in. There's a total of about 36 grades in the grade book right now, which is far less than I've ever got. Typically, particularly for like an honors class, I will be close to maybe 60 some grades at this point. But we're doing a little bit less considering what's going on. Also, I just don't want to grade as much. So, but every assignment I give you guys is made to help you guys pass those 50% of tests. So take a second right now, go ahead and type this code in, go ahead and join this Nearpod. You are going to have to make sure you do a couple activities. There'll be a couple things you're going to have to draw and other things. But let's go ahead and start watching our films. So we're doing 2, 3, 2, 1s. The first film is going to be on the red scare. Okay, so make sure you guys have your name, like we're in class. You have the title's going to be the red scare. Go ahead and do that for me. And we're going to do a 3, 2, 1. And again, that's 3 facts, 2 controversial ideas, and then 1 what, y'all?
Question.
1 what?
Question.
1 question. Now, if you don't have a question, that's fine. But keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen. We are turning this in today via CTLS at by 11:59 tonight. Okay. By 11:59 tonight, you will be turning this in. Also, just because I want to do this now, that way, if I run out of time at the back end, I can say I showed it to you. All right. This right here, I want to show you guys just in CTLS your homework and things of that nature real quick. All right, so we go to our classes. Go to any of my U.S. histories, it doesn't matter. Go to your digital sessions for today. Go down to today's digital session, which is World War II. Go to lesson assignments. This is where you guys are going to upload your in-class notes. So like the 3, 2, 1 we're about to do right now, and also the notes we get from the Nearpod. You're going to upload that here by 11:59 tonight. Is everybody clear there? Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to grade that. You can either copy and paste it, say if you're typing it, or if you want to upload a picture, like many of you guys do, you can do that as well by adding attachment. But then you go back to your lesson assignment. Your homework is going to be to complete the Korematsu v. United States Nearpod here. So make sure you guys complete that. What goes on the first line when you go into the Nearpod?
Your
Your
name.
name.
And then the second line is going to be what?
Your period.
Block or your period. Make sure you guys do that because you guys won't be getting credit. So make sure you put the period as you're in there on that one. So if you still need to have the documents that we're talking about today, this is it right here. So it's in your CTLS. Okay. So that's your homework, Korematsu v. the United States. And we're going to get into World War II. So last night, you guys were assigned a presentation where you guys completed talking about the New Deal, where it gave you guys perspectives from Black Americans, Latino Americans, and also gave you the woman's perspective of World War II. And then you guys also moved ahead and you had to complete the crash courses that talk about World War II. So before we start this film, take about a minute. what did you guys think about the activity? What did you guys learn? It was a lot of work, but what did you guys learn as far as the New Deal and also women in World War II? Anybody can start talking.
I learned about how African Americans definitely didn't benefit as much from the New Deal as white people did.
Okay. African Americans did not benefit as much as white folks did, for lack of a better phrase, during the New Deal. And now it's New Deal programs. Anybody else?
I thought it was unfair that the women had to go back to the lesser paying jobs after the men came back.
I can't hear you guys. Can you guys hear me right now?
Oh.
Okay. Anybody else
Sorry.
want to share what they learned from the assignment that does go in the grade book? I'm actually going to be pulling those up right now. Anything else you guys learned from that activity from last night?
May I?
Nope. All right, so keep in mind, you guys do get points for participation, the cameras being on. Thank you guys for that. But that whole presentation was for you guys to look at the New Deal from a different perspective, because the idea was for you guys to see that, hey, the New Deal, it did a lot of good, but it did not impact everybody. So no, somebody say something right now, so I couldn't hear you. Say something right now. Somebody say something.
Something.
Yes, I said something.
Something.
Okay.
Something.
Yeah, I'm not hearing you, so hold on one second.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody say something right now.
Something.
Got you. All right, so somebody go back. Now I can hear you. Go back to what y'all was saying about the PowerPoint.
Okay, so I was saying that I thought it was unfair that the women had to go back to the lesser paying jobs after the men came from the war.
Yeah, that's crazy. They had these jobs and they just kind of got stripped when their husbands came home. That's crazy. Anything else?
If anything, it caused Black Americans to work even harder.
Okay. Good point. Good point. Alyssa, I see that. Go back and check in CTLS. Your assignment, you need to hit the submit to a teacher button, because yours is showing in progress. I can't see your homework.
Okay.
All right, guys, so let's get started with the 3, 2, 1. This first one's gonna be on the Red Scare. The Red Scare.
Hi, my name is Yahuwah Williams. I'm a historian.
You guys hear the video?
And here are some things that you need to know in order to sound smart about the Red Scare. Although most people associate the Red Scare with the era of Joseph McCarthy from the 1950s, in fact, there were two major Red Scares. The first Red Scare took place during World War I. After the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, during the First World War, fear of communism reached its height. In the period after the Second World War, Americans were increasingly concerned that the anti-democratic and totalitarian nature of communism would spread and even infiltrate the United States. One of the common traits shared by both Red Scares was red baiting, the practice of identifying and attempting to out or uncover suspected communists within the United States government. One of the chief conduits for ferreting out communists was the House Un-American Activities Committee. Although it had been first formed in 1938, it reached the height of its power, and some would say its insidious purpose, during the 1950s Red Scare. Southern politicians often branded political subversives with whom they disagreed as communists. In Alabama and Mississippi, for example, the NAACP, which was a civil rights organization, was banned as a communistic influence. The second Red Scare perhaps took its greatest toll on artists and entertainers, people like Paul Robeson, Arthur Miller, and others who were unable to work because of being branded as suspected communists or communist sympathizers.
Okay, so what war are we talking about with the Red Scare? Is it World War I, World War II? What war are we talking about? What's our focus here?
No, both.
This could it be classified as the Cold War?
It started in World War I and it just kept manifesting. So Theodore, most likely, when I always heard about the Red Scare, I was Cold War era, like McCarthy and everything like that. But it really kind of got started in World War I with the Russian Revolution, and it just kept continuing on and had a height once we went to the Cold War. Everybody got me on that? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other facts you guys got from it? Like maybe 1 or 2 real quick? Any other facts about the Red
I don't
Scare?
want to say they were like Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I didn't know. I didn't know if you said they were killing people, but they were pointing out suspected communists within the government. With
Yeah, if you were
was it
considered
the dot plan or something?
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Was it the dot plan or something? I forgot the name.
I kind of missed that part too. But you're right. A lot of people, if you went against the government any kind of way, you were labeled a communist, and then it'll be pretty bad for you. We get to Martin Luther King and others in the civil rights movement. That was very common for them too. All right. So the next topic we want to talk about is going to be Eleanor Roosevelt, who was the first lady of the United States, who was married to what president was she married to?
Franklin Roosevelt.
FDR.
Yes, FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So, all right, listen up to Eleanor.
I think every first lady since Eleanor Roosevelt is measured against Eleanor Roosevelt because she did completely transform this role.
Anna Eleanor Roosevelt was born in New York City on October 11, 1884. She was born into a life of privilege, but it was a difficult childhood.
When Eleanor was 8 years old, her mother died very suddenly, and 2 years later, her father died of alcoholism. So she was an orphan by the time she was 10 years old.
At age 14, Eleanor was sent to a boarding school in London. The experience would be a major turning point in her life.
The headmistress of this school, a woman named Marie Silvestre, was actually a radical, a feminist, and she wasn't educating these girls just to go off and get married. She was educating them to be leaders.
In 1902, Eleanor met her father's fifth cousin, a young Harvard student named Franklin Roosevelt.
He was dashing and handsome and was considered a very good catch for her.
Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt fell in love, but Franklin's mother was not very happy about the relationship. She sent Franklin off on a trip to Europe to try and break them up, but of course it didn't work.
The couple married on March 17, 1905, in New York City.
They had children right away, and 6 of them.
While Franklin was serving as Assistant Navy Secretary during World War I, a rumor surfaced that he was having an affair with his secretary, Lucy Mercer.
Eleanor found love letters from Lucy.
She did at one point consider leaving, but that would have ended his political aspirations.
In 1921, Franklin Roosevelt contracted infantile paralysis, losing mobility in his legs. Eleanor cared for him and encouraged his return to politics.
In an odd way, his inability to get around freed her.
She started to get involved in political causes. She got involved with the League of Women Voters. She got involved with the Democratic Party.
The great American public has its say at the polls, and the result is a Roosevelt victory of amazing proportion.
When Franklin Roosevelt was elected President of the United States in 1933, Eleanor saw the office of First Lady as a way to expand on her previous work.
The first thing she did was create a way of having a constituency of her own. So she created a role that simply hadn't existed before.
Eleanor Roosevelt was criticized pretty heavily by some for her active role in public policy.
As First Lady, Eleanor pioneered the use of mass media to communicate directly with the public.
By having a women-only press corps, which she did, she was able to reach across the country.
Eleanor Roosevelt leveraged mass media as a way to connect with the people at a time when the nation was bleak, literally coming out of the Great Depression.
Eleanor Roosevelt further strengthened her legacy in her fight for equal rights during World War II.
During the war, she famously went to the Tuskegee Air Base because black officers weren't being deployed, and she insisted on going up with one of the African-American pilots, and after that they did get deployed.
On April 12, 1945, Eleanor Roosevelt's husband died after suffering a stroke early in his 4th term as president.
She wasn't there, and she learned sometime afterwards that Lucy Mercer was there.
She told reporters after he died, when they said to her, "Mrs. Roosevelt, what are you going to do now?" She said, "The story is over." But of course it wasn't.
In the years following the White House, Eleanor Roosevelt remained an active political figure. In 1945, President Truman asked Eleanor to be a delegate to the United Nations General Assembly.
Eleanor Roosevelt was very active. She really tried to force the United Nations to take a very hard, strong, active role in combating abuses toward human rights.
Eleanor Roosevelt chaired the committee that drafted and passed the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. She considered that her greatest achievement.
Eleanor Roosevelt died at her Manhattan home on November 7th, 1962. She was 78.
Mark Twain is now thought of as America's first.
Okay, what are some facts about Miss Roosevelt?
Is this we put this in our 3-2-1 or just a separate one?
Say that again.
Is this for our 3-2-1, the Eleanor Roosevelt, or is that separate, another 3-2-1?
You should have 2 3-2-1s. One should be on
Okay.
Eleanor Roosevelt, and one should be on the Red Scare.
All right, thank you.
Anybody got some facts about Eleanor Roosevelt?
Franklin's.
You can go.
You can go, Deanna.
Right. She was sent to boarding school when she was 14.
Yep. And would you want to go, Stockdale? What you want to say?
Franklin's mom didn't like her relationship with Franklin, so she sent Franklin to Europe to try to separate them.
Right.
Aren't they cousins?
For inequality.
Yeah, they were cousins. They were cousins. She did visit the Tuskegee Airmen. Anybody else?
She turned the role of first lady into something that it hadn't been before, and did.
Yeah, she really kind of revolutionized what the idea of a first lady was going to be. There are some books and some people argue that she was more the president than Roosevelt because, particularly in that last term, he was sick. So they said a lot of people made an argument that, she did a lot of the presidential work. Y'all follow me on that? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys are signed into this Nearpod. We're about to go ahead and get started in this. I'm gonna need you guys to read aloud for me, okay? So the more you participate, the better it is for you. Make sure you guys are signed in. We're about to get started. And again, this is based off of you guys completing the homework assignment for World War II. Now, my goal is to go more in depth with aspects of World War II, okay? So make sure you guys are listening up. Let's get ready to go. And if you did not complete the New Deal exit ticket, because remember, it's called the New Deal exit ticket because we moved out of the New Deal, and the World War II entry ticket because we're moving in now to World War II. You guys still can submit that assignment. It'll be late, but you still can submit it. But I will say this, if you're going to submit it, submit the whole thing. It definitely will help you guys out as far as understanding material. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to get started with a vocabulary video. But the guiding question or essential question we have today is going to be how and why did the United States emerge victorious in World War II? If you have any kind of questions, please stop me and let me know. Is everybody got me on that? Okay. Let's get started with a vocabulary on World War II. And let's get rolling.
Yeah, check it out, y'all. Okay. Hitler not the only fascist, only the most famous. Mussolini in Italy, Franco Spanish, rose in the 30s, thanks to their people's pain and anguish. Depression era, inflation, raising prices and panic. Hitler makes Germans feel good by puffing them up. Like it's not you, it's the Jews that are messing us up. So-called work camps are Catholics, gypsies and Jews, and any woman or man who dare question his views. America on another tip, isolationists don't want to get involved in one of y'all big wars. We try to recover from our own depression. FDR leading us, New Deal direction. U-boat submarines, and you know what I mean. Sink British ships, Americans get uneasy. While Europe is falling to Hitler, Americans are like, it's peaceful, hot Hawaiian sun rising in the morning. America's Navy stretching and yawning, low on the horizon. Hundreds of planes are rising. Someone sees something? That's probably nothing. But those are Japanese fighters and bombers dropping some bombs upon us, harm us with preemptive strikes, breaking the dam and the dike. It's a day people remember like 9/11, Pearl Harbor, 1941, December 7th. Fast forward, rush the beaches, D-Day's done. Liberated France and Italy, blazing guns. Germany surrenders, Hitler commits suicide. He couldn't stand to die in front of the world's eyes. Southeast Asia, war still raging. We island hopping like hopscotch boys with bloody faces. Spring 1945, FDR dies. In steps Truman, big man, but only human. Here's the situation, you're about to invade Japan. U.S. soldier deaths might number 1 million. The Japanese fight with the code of the samurai. Fight to the death, it's honorable to die. Secret new weapon you got, and you're not telling. Split atoms like a sledgehammer splits watermelons. Tested in July, desert New Mexico. It blows and you know mushroom clouds fill the sky. The Russians might declare war, and if they do, the Japanese might have no choice but to lay down their troops. That's a chance. You got the bombs, you got the planes. This is war, the moral dilemma drives you insane. 120,000 civilian lives on the line, clocks ticking, tick-tock. You running out of time. What would Jesus do? What would Buddha do? What would Abraham do? What would Muhammad do? What would you do? Would you drop it? Would you drop it? Would you drop it? Drop the bomb? Would you drop it? Would you drop it? Would you drop it? Drop the bomb? I said, would you drop it? Would you drop it? Would you drop it? Drop the bomb? Would you drop it? Would you drop it? Would you drop the bomb? Would you drop the bomb?
All right, let's get started. So, all right, so I want us to consider the following myths, okay? And then we're going to I want you guys to take a second to think about it, and then we're going to share out loud about it, okay? So the first myth is that the United States entered World War II strictly to stop Adolf Hitler from carrying out the Holocaust. Number 2, World War II was a war between good and evil. Number 3, the Western powers, meaning the United States and Britain, were primarily responsible for the victory. And then number 4, World War II did not start until Japan bombed the United States at Pearl Harbor. So take about a minute and think about those. Maybe just one if you want to key on one, and we're going to discuss them. All right, so we're gonna spend about 2 minutes discussing. Anybody want to go ahead and get started? What do you guys think about these myths? Just thoughts. Just go ahead and open your mic up and start talking.
I think the last one isn't true.
Why?
Because the United States didn't go into World War II. Well, World War II started before, like way before the United States went into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But they didn't go in till Japan bombed Pearl Harbor.
Good. Thank you, Ms. Sunny. Anybody else?
I don't think number 1 is true either, because I think the Adolf Hitler, he was like doing all this Holocaust stuff way before the Pearl Harbor thing happened. So I don't really think the U.S. we cared about that. We were just only concerned with the Pearl Harbor bombing.
Also, wasn't the Holocaust not known of before they went in and freed people?
You are correct. You're correct. People didn't know about the Holocaust deeper into the war. Keep going.
I think the third one is true.
The third one is
because we were major suppliers of weapons and artillery.
Good job, you guys.
Didn't the U.S. specifically say we're gonna stay neutral in all of this, and then Japan just decided to bomb Pearl Harbor?
Say that one more time, because I didn't hear you towards the end.
So for the first one, didn't the U.S. just say we're gonna stay neutral for the World War II, and then Japan bombed Pearl Harbor?
Yes.
Even though we were neutral.
A good movie to watch that came out. I actually was surprised. I actually kind of enjoyed it. Was the movie called Midway, because it really kind of talks about Pearl Harbor. And
Yeah,
remember,
I watched it a few times.
Huh?
I watched it a few times.
It's not too bad. I thought everybody's like it's a horror movie. Like, it's actually pretty good. I was actually engaged, but it gets into a lot of Pacific theater and the fight. But keep this in mind, and Trent kind of mentioned this earlier, is that the United States was again supplying everybody with goods and products. So if you're supplying people, couldn't you make, this is rhetorical, but couldn't you make the argument that we actually was already in the war? So good job, you guys. So keep this participation up, you guys. It'll make this be a lot more fun and quicker. All right, so let's get ready to explore. Can I get someone to read this for us?
On the next slides, you will be presented with 4 images that represent major causes of World War II. On your causes of World War II worksheet, record your inferences about how these led to the deadliest war in human history, resulting in over 60 million casualties worldwide.
Okay, so the worksheet I'm referring to is this worksheet right here that I placed in the chat. Now, on your own sheet of paper, which you guys will be turned into, means it'll be your 2 3-2-1s, the 1 3-2-1 on the Red Scare, the 1 3-2-1 on Eleanor Roosevelt, and your responses now, okay? So you guys can read the context part right here for us, but then we want to make sure you guys write down your explanations on your sheet of paper that you guys will turn in today in class. Has everybody got me there? Now, I listen to my recordings, and one thing I notice a lot is I say, you guys good? Y'all got me? I say that a lot. So if you're not clear on something, you got to make sure you say something, all right? So let's go ahead and get into these images, and then I'm going to let you guys go ahead and get us started. All right. So the first image is economic depression. Can someone speak on that for us?
In terms of regarding to the war?
So what I would do is honestly just read the part I have here for economic depression. Just read the context, and then we can move on. So everybody wants to read about economic depression. Or just like, how was this a factor leading to World War II? Just, y'all know the answer to this. How was this a factor leading to World War II?
Angry citizens were high because countries didn't have resources that they needed, so they were willing to do lots of stuff to get that.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thanks, Theodore. And also keep in mind, we was in the Great Depression. So the Great Depression did not end until World War II started. Is everybody got me on that? The New Deal was a good idea. It helped some out. And we already talked about how it didn't help everybody out. But what really got us out was the start of World War II. The next one is going to be this idea of nationalism. So I want to talk about the idea of nationalism. Remember, you guys have the worksheet I gave you where you have the context. You can just read that and that's fine. But talk to me about nationalism. How did nationalism lead to World War II?
Isn't that when like a country or a person has this like extreme amount of pride in their country?
Say it one more time, Gia.
An extreme amount of pride in someone's country.
Yeah, we're very, very proud. Like, we're Americans. And think about the whole idea about Pearl Harbor. How dare you attack us? Is everybody got me on that? That was huge part as far as getting America actively with troops on the ground into World War II. The next one is going to be racism. How did racism impact our involvement in World War II?
This could have kept a lot of colored soldiers from participating in the war, which could have resulted in a loss, which thank goodness we didn't.
Now, keep in mind, you did have a lot of blacks that was actually involved in the war. Namely, the Tuskegee Airmen, which we talk about later on in the week. But what other factors did race have in the war?
I guess like the race, like it would like consider like race more like culture, like dispute, and like Eastern Europe and with people with Jewish people.
Yeah, you're right. And this whole idea about who's the better race, who's the supreme race? Is everybody got me on that? That came in a lot into it as well. So here in the United States, we had Jim Crow, but across the world, think about Hitler. the idea of that one race is more superior than others. Darwinism. Y'all follow me on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the last factor that we want to talk about is going to be militarization. So how did militarization impact the war and our involvement in the war?
It formed allies.
Yeah, what about the allies?
The allies protected one another. So when one fought, the other one was right there to defend it. Like when I think it was Germany that declared war on Serbia after Archduke Ferdinand.
Yeah, that's you talk about referring to World War One, but you're right. But also keeping in mind that the United States had a lot of this surplus in products, and they were sending it out to other nations. And you got to protect your investment. And then also they got bombed at Pearl Harbor. And again, the notion was like, how dare you? Is that right with me so far? Or with us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So make sure you guys have recorded your answers for that. Then I need you to jump into the Nearpod and make your recording right here for me too. How might nationalism and racism be interconnected? How might both the idea of nationalism and racism be interconnected? We talk about World War II, but now that I look at the question, this also has current day motivation as well. So how can the idea of nationalism and racism be interconnected? Go ahead and hide your names, but still go ahead and put your responses in. Give you guys about 2 to 3 minutes here. The only wrong answer is the no answer. For another minute, you guys. All right, go ahead and hit your answers. We're about to get ready to move on. All right, hit your enter key no matter what. If I can see that you was working, and we're about to move on. Couple seconds, 3, 2, I got to go, y'all. So enter that key, and now we're moving. All right, can I get someone to read this for us, please?
Let's watch a short video to see how the terms we thought about are connected. As you watch, consider if you're correctly predicted how each term is connected to the start of World War II. Keep your causes of World War II worksheet out as you watch.
All right, so the same worksheet that we've been working with, where you guys are making your notes on your own sheet of paper, you guys want to continue doing that as we work into this one. All right, so watch this video and just see where you're right or wrong.
After roughly 20 years of peace, the world went to war for a second time. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be exploring how World War II began. The Second World War is considered a direct result of the First World War due to unresolved tensions and anger from that conflict. However, the Great Depression of the 1930s was another factor that led to bitterness and a shift in public attitudes towards strict dictatorships. World War I also facilitated the rise of Adolf Hitler and his Nazi Party. Hitler's allies in Italy and Japan also acted aggressively with the hope of expanding their territories. Hostilities by these countries towards the communism of the Soviet Union was just another factor that helped lead to war. In fact, a number of ideologies helped spark the war. Aggressive expansionism by countries like Germany and Italy, fascist dictatorships, and deep-seated racism were all considered contributing factors. This racism was mostly in Germany, where the Nazis believed the Aryan race was the master race and superior to the Slavic people. The countries that eventually formed the Allied alliance acted passively in the face of the Axis threat. This was partly out of sympathy, partly out of guilt because of the Treaty of Versailles that blamed the Germans for World War I, and partly because countries like Britain underestimated Hitler. Meanwhile, the League of Nations proved itself ineffective in the fight to keep the peace. A few months after Japan withdrew from the League of Nations in 1933, Germany did the same. In 1935, Germany violated the Treaty of Versailles by introducing mandatory military conscription and by beginning rearmament. That country continued to violate the treaty in the years that followed. In fact, in 1936, Hitler remilitarized the Rhineland. It was around this time Nazi Germany formed their important alliance with Italy. Soon after, the two countries offered support to the separatist movement in the Spanish Civil War, while the existing government was supported by the Soviet Union. These events foreshadowed the Second World War as both sides were testing different methods and weapons of battle. One specific event that foretold the horrors of World War II was the April 1937 bombing of Guernica. By 1938, Hitler's motives were clearer. In a move referred to as the Anschluss, the Nazis annexed Austria into Germany, despite the fact this also violated the Treaty of Versailles. Later that year, Hitler was appeased by both Britain and France when they signed the Munich Agreement. This allowed Hitler to overtake a German-speaking section of Czechoslovakia in order to keep the peace. In August 1939, Nazi Germany signed a peace treaty with the Soviet Union. However, the first official event of World War II followed soon after. Due to long-standing tensions, Germany invaded Poland on September 1, 1939. Britain and France warned Germany that should the troops not withdraw, war was imminent. When the Nazis did nothing, Britain and France declared war on Germany, and World War II officially began.
Any questions or comments?
Do you speak Greek?
Can you say that again?
Do you speak Greek? Because
I
that's
don't.
what the captions
I know.
were.
Yes and no. I know the Greek alphabet really well, but I can't really speak it. But that's on video I can find. All right, guys, go ahead and answer your question here. Do you think World War II could have been avoided? Why or why not? All right, about another minute, you guys. We move on. All right, throw in your answers, y'all. Throw in your answers. All right, let's get ready to move on, y'all. Let's get ready to move on. 3, 2, hit that enter key. All right, let's go. All right, so now we're gonna do a virtual tour. There's no worksheet for this, but I want you guys just to try to put on your critical lenses to start trying to see some areas. I do think there's one link that does not work. I tried to spend most of the night last night fixing it, but just had a hard time doing it. But you have one here of Pearl Harbor. You have one of D-Day at Normandy. So let's go ahead and go to stop one, which would be Pearl Harbor. I think this is one that does not work. You should have access to this on your computers. Yeah, this is the. You just literally just move the screen around, look around. This is the memorial at Pearl Harbor. Can anybody tell me what happened at Pearl Harbor?
Japan bombed the U.S.
They bombed.
Yes. Japan
and
bombed
killed
the
a
United
bunch of people.
States.
Took a bunch of the Navy out.
Some people say it took out the whole Navy almost, but yeah, it was. And again, the film Midway did a pretty good job with it, surprisingly. I didn't think that film would be as good as it was. And I bring up the film because remember, you guys have extra credit where you guys can watch movies and get extra credit based off that.
The boat's still underwater, right?
Huh?
The boat's still underwater, right?
There's talk that some is still underwater.
I think they I think they raised a few of them and have them as museums, if I remember right.
Yeah, they did raise some of them and got them back out. Let's see, can we go to D-Day now? All right, so this is D-Day right here. This is the beach.
I saw an interesting thing about like how they made a floating harbor for D-Day.
Yeah. And you guys know that in the more recent Call of Duty World War II, the game starts off with D-Day. And it really kind of makes sure, and again, if you play the video games, it's a good thing to do. You can maybe go YouTube it, but I remember playing that game. That battle was crazy. I'm like, if this is how it was in real life, dang. Like, I kept getting killed, like, continuously. All right. And let's talk about island hopping, which is the last one.
But also, like this beach, it's so nice.
So what?
The beach is so nice.
It is. And just imagine how many people died there, though. But that is a beautiful beach.
Oh my God, is there dead bodies in there?
And again,
I wonder if anyone has dug up dead bodies while trying to make a sandcastle.
I don't know. I haven't even thought about that one. Notice you guys also have these little images here that I gave you guys just for a background on what's going on too. We're about to move on from here in about a minute or two. So it looks like I did fix the link. So yay to me, I'm happy because that was very hard. Okay, I'm gonna move on at 10:30.
Yes, the atomic bomb. I love just sitting there looking at a nuke.
It's kind of scary, but yeah, it's the world we live in. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Do you think Japan's decision to attack Pearl Harbor was justified? Explain your answer. You guys got about 2 minutes on this. 2 minutes on this. Do you think Japan's decision to attack Pearl Harbor was justified? Explain your answer. The only wrong answer is the no answer. So give me an answer. So the classroom was already set up for those people that are returning. Regardless if you are returning or not, the classes are going to be a little bit longer. Luckily, we're going to be in the back end of the class where we do a lot more activities and watching movies. If you're coming back, you're going to have assigned seats. When you walk in, the table might be a little damp because the people came before you. Don't have to wipe it off the table, but you're able to get some more paper towel, wipe it off again. You can re-wipe it. You got to have mask on, all the way covering your nose at all times, like I will. And we're going to make it rock. When y'all come back next Thursday, it's going to be our review day. So we're going to spend our time just basically going through the things to know, reviewing it. Again, I cannot make you bring technology, but you having it would definitely be beneficial to yourself because we still be doing everything mainly through CTLS.
If one of the teachers caught COVID through a student, could y'all sue the school?
Nope. I don't think so. But I don't know. But I know there's a lot of teachers that have got sick because
why is it even an option to go back?
It's you got to have the option. So that's I don't know. People make decisions above my pay grade.
See, I could see a class action lawsuit happening.
Huh?
I could see a class action lawsuit happening, but that would not happen because teachers want to keep their jobs.
I don't know, but you still got some teachers that are part of union states, so you got that aspect of it there too. All right, so I'm gonna ask you guys this question: what was the strategic importance of Pearl Harbor for both the United States and Japan? You guys talk to me about that. What was the strategic importance of Pearl Harbor for us and Japan? Go.
Oh, Japan, I think, in my opinion, they were trying to take out the weapons that were being traded that would be used against them. So I can kind of see where they were coming from, but I still don't feel like that was justified because we were neutral.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to throw in their opinions?
Yeah, I think that, like, for Japan, I think that they really thought that if they attacked Pearl Harbor, it would somehow stop America from, being involved. And also, they wanted that specific space to expand, but, like, they couldn't have it. So I think they just got mad and was like, bombs is the answer to everything.
Good point. Good point. Anybody else?
I mean, at some point, you gotta start bombing things. That is what Japan thought, which was obviously the wrong thing to do. But
it's always idea you woke up a sleeping dragon. That's the thing that they always said. So yeah. Jay says, yes, I agree. I think it's supposed to be a message. Yeah, you guys, I mean, hey, it happened, and you can take it from both different ways, but it definitely happened, and it basically made the draft be okay because people wanted to go fight. It was like after 9/11. On 9/12, there was a high increase. We talk about that, and those people joined the military. So it was a similar situation there. All right, so the island hopping campaign. Let me get someone to start reading this for me.
The U.S. entered World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor. However, the U.S. Navy cannot traverse the entire Pacific Ocean with their fleet, and Japan had already built a vast empire throughout East Asia by the start of World War II.
Okay. Someone else pick us up here.
Every advance through what was known as the Pacific Theater required many ships, submarines, airplanes, and thousands of soldiers. On the next slide, you will find a website showing the route the U.S. took. After, you will retrace the route the U.S. took in their island hopping campaign.
Does everybody follow what you guys about to do with this website?
Mm-hmm.
So again, you guys are gonna find a website showing the route that the U.S. took, and after you would trace the route the U.S. took in an island hopping campaign. All right. So this is the website right here. You got to have Adobe Flash.
What if we do not have Flash?
If you don't, just pay attention to the screen. I'm trying to pull it up right now for you.
Okay.
Keywords, I'm gonna try to pull it up because I'm looking at, I gotta get up on the screen now. All right, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, so you got some activities here. First, you got to explore it, find it, then follow it. Let's go ahead and click right here. It says map, back to map. It's not showing me the map. Oh, the map's not working. Hold on a second, you guys. We might just have to move past this. Okay, it's not letting me work it either. Anybody got to work on their computer?
No, it's not working on mine at all.
All right, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I'm sorry about that. I thought I fixed it. Apologies. So you guys don't have to worry about doing this, but keep this in the back of your mind, in your notes. You do want to try to keep an idea of where the United States went as far as island hopping. The whole idea of island hopping, what they were doing was moving from the south, moving north. This is where Australia was in play, but they basically just taking over the islands. And there's tons of islands in the Pacific Ocean, and they're just moving further north, getting closer and closer to Japan, which is also an island. All right, so the question here says the Allied advance across, don't worry about answering because you guys can get it in the map. The Allied advance across the Pacific came from two main directions. And the answer is really going to be both from the south, north, south, east, and the west. Both from the south and the west. A little bit to the east as well. All right, so the end of the Pacific Theater. Can I get someone to read this for us, please?
U.S. involvement in World War II in the Pacific ended in August 1945 with Japan's surrender after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. As the only remaining Axis power at this point, it also marked the end of World War II.
We'll talk more about this over the next coming days, but the dropping of the atomic bomb effectively ended the Pacific Theater and World War II. All right, create a concept map. Connect and annotate the following four events to illustrate the relationship between them. All I really want you guys to do is put these in chronological order. What happened first, second, third, and fourth? Go ahead and make your marks for this. What happened first, second, third, and fourth? Just write that down on the map, and then you'll be good to go. Give you guys about a minute here. I want you to go look it up. It's just based on what you remember. Particularly those people that did the homework is gonna probably remember this, but go ahead and do this for me. What happened first, second, third, and fourth? Go ahead and submit your answers, you guys. What happened first, second, third, and fourth? All right, we got to go move on. Less than a minute. All right, let's talk about the answers. All right, what event happened first?
Attack on Pearl Harbor.
Second?
Island hopping in the Pacific.
Does everybody agree with that?
I put
D-Day didn't happen first? I mean, second?
D-Day first. I mean, second.
Huh?
I put D-Day second.
Yeah, D-Day happened second. Remember, they was fighting over in Europe, then they moved over to the, so they was fighting the Western, or the European front, then they moved to the Pacific, then which makes island hopping being third, and then the fourth would be the dropping of the atomic bomb, which effectively ended the war. Okay. Can I get someone to read this for us, please? Can I get someone to read this for us, please?
It's one thing to read about the incredible amount of casualties in World War II, but it can often be impossible to really comprehend numbers that big. Let's watch a video that does an amazing job of contextualizing the rate of death with respect to other wars in world history. As you watch, think about how World War II changed human history forever.
Okay. Just keep that in mind. Think about how World War II changed everything. All right, so you guys watch. You're not going to watch this whole video, most likely, though.
The average lifespan of an American is 80 years. And an 80-year-old today was 10 when World War II ended, 4 when it began. A soldier who saw battle would have to be in his late 80s at least today. Generals, political leaders, the decision makers of the war, few are still with us. And over the past few decades, we've seen authors and filmmakers rush to capture stories from survivors before this connection of memory is lost. This project is not about individual war stories, and it's not about survivors. We're going to tally up the tens of millions of people whose lives were cut short by the war, and see how these numbers stack up to other wars in history, including trends in recent conflicts.
All right, so I'm going to share this video for you guys. Continue watching it on your own. Those people that are interested. Stop. Yeah, we're not going to be able to watch the whole
The average lifespan of an American is 80 years. And an 80-year-old today was 10.
You got the idea. All right, but what I do want to show you is that this document here that I gave you guys, it does a really good job of kind of breaking down all the American wars. Does everybody got me on that? Every war that America fought, even the global war on terror, it does a good job of kind of breaking down how long they lasted, and then also the deaths from those wars. Does everybody got me on that? So please take a time and look at this. And this is coming from the Office of Public Affairs. So this is coming directly from our government. That really kind of breaks down all of our wars. As far as the deaths, it talks about living. It gives you the whole 411 on the wars, okay? So you guys can look at this document. Go ahead and click on your webpage. That way you guys have this PDF. And I'll say definitely print this off, put it to the side, and this will come back up later. So everybody got me on that? Okay. All right. We're not gonna do this, but one thing I want you to keep in mind as you guys look at those that information is what new facts did you learn from the video and that surprised you. So I'm gonna post a video for you guys later on for you guys to watch, but just kind of think about like what was surprising about that. We're not gonna do this thing pair share. And in this document here, so remember I gave you guys the sheet that shows you all the different wars, right? As you guys look through that sheet, is everybody with me so far? What I want you to do here is really, how was World War II unique from any other war in our history? Look at all the wars that happened before World War II and one that happened after. How was World War II unique? That's what I want you guys to think about as you work through this. You do not have to worry about answering these questions now, but just think about that as you work through it. All right, so let's see what we learned. You got 3 questions here on the quiz. Go ahead and do that. We're gonna go a little bit over here, you guys, just for a heads up. Go ahead and give your answers. Like most of you guys are correct here.
Dr. T.
Yeah.
Can you resend the link to that PDF with the wars?
Yeah, let me get everybody finish this. Oh wait, I think I know where I have it. Hold on one second. Everybody finish this quiz, and then I'm gonna give you that link. Okay, so I got you. I'll post it in the chat. Also, this Nearpod is gonna be available for you guys to go back and look at. That way you guys can do that too. You can go at your own pace or to redo. Okay, you guys. There's gonna be a link for it in CTLS where you can go at your own pace. Does everybody hear me there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
This quiz grade is one in the grade book, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
All right, since as we're wrapping this up, you guys, what is due for homework tonight? What do you guys got to do? Somebody tell me.
The 3, 2, 1s, and then we fill in the rest of the chart from today.
The Nearpod assignment.
Yeah, you have a Nearpod assignment in the digital session that's due by end of the day tomorrow. You guys got today and tonight and tomorrow to do that, and then you also got to upload, which Ms. Doyle was saying, you got to upload your what do you call it? You got to upload your notes for today. Is that right? Got me on that? So your 3, 2, 1, and then what we did today in this Nearpod. All right, so I don't see it moving no more, so that means I'm assuming you guys are done. All right. What word? You guys don't have to worry about answering this question. You guys are actually pretty good. We're gonna probably say we're done, because we're gonna talk more about World War II over the next coming days. Now tonight, what you guys have to work on is going to be the Korematsu v. United States Nearpod, which I showed at the beginning of class. You'll be able to go back and watch this video. This will be one of the first things you guys see is going to be this Korematsu, talk about the Japanese internment camps. You got to complete that Nearpod. Make sure you guys do all the activities and be prepared for some type of review on that on Thursday. Does everybody follow me there?
Yes.
Do you want me to show you where to go get the assignment again?
No, we have to till 3 o'clock to turn in today's assignment, right? Because I don't
You
think
have
it went
until
through.
11:59. You have until 11:59 to turn in today's notes. You have to.
Yes, I meant to say yesterday's homework.
Yesterday's homework was due last night. You can still turn it in late now though, and I'm still accepting it late because I need y'all to make sure you get that done.
Okay.
What is the 3-2-1? Like, where is that?
The 3-2-1, you did a 3-2-1 on Eleanor Roosevelt's. You did a 3-2-1 on Red Scare. You should have those 2 3-2-1s and the notes you guys took today on those key topics from World War II, all on one sheet of paper, maybe 2 sheets of paper, and you got to submit that to CTLS tonight. For the lack of for clarity, I'm just gonna go ahead and show it again. Here is, if you go to your digital session, you go to today's digital session. Here is the Nearpod that you have to complete. Make sure you guys put your name on the first line. Second line, you're gonna have the period. You go here to lesson assignments. Causes of World War II activity sheet. That's where you guys put in all your notes for the work you guys had done today. If you did not do the New Deal exit ticket, and if you did not complete it was a New Deal exit ticket and World War II entry ticket, you still can complete it. It's going to be late, but you still complete that work as well. Is everybody clear what you guys got to get done between now and tomorrow? All right. All right. You guys have a blessed day. I will see you guys on the flip side on Thursday. Take it easy, everybody.
Dr. Tidwell,